Ladies and gentlemen, I hope all of you had very nice break. We will now continue with our fourth slot for today. Allow me to introduce our moderator for this session, Nazahatul Shahira binti Ahmad Noor, President of UiTM Global Ambassador UGLAM, Malaysia, with the topic Emotional Intelligence in Leaders. Along with Nazahatul, there are three invited panelists from abroad comprising Vietnam, Australia, and India. Firstly, we have Ms. Truong Thi Huong from Hai Phong University, Vietnam. Next, we have Gita Mahalau from University of Wollongong, UOW, Australia. And lastly, we have Aishwarya B from Karpagam Academy of Higher Education, Kahe, India. Before that, we would like to have a photography session with the speakers. All of you are required to turn on your camera for this photo session. So, without further ado, I would like to invite our moderator and the three panelists to share with us their knowledge. Nazahatul, the platform is all yours to start our first session with the topic Emotional Intelligence in Leaders.
Thank you, MC, for the kind and very welcoming introduction. Hi, Assalamualaikum, and good morning, everyone. Welcome back again to International Student Representative Conference with the title Post-COVID-19 Leadership Strategies. I'm Nazhatul Shahira binti Ahmad Noor, and I'll be your moderator for this last session where we'll talk about emotional intelligence in leaders. What a fascinating topic for the last session, and I hope you are just as intrigued as I am. Now, let me introduce you to our panelists for today. First, we have Ms. Truong Thi Huong from Hai Phong University, Vietnam. She's currently studying international economics. She is also a member of the Student Youth Union Managing Board and serves as a group leader when working on class group projects. How are you today, Ms. Huong?
Hi everyone, I'm fine, thank you.
Yes, thank you for coming. Would you like to introduce yourself a little bit? Maybe like your passion or your leadership background? That would be great.
Hi, my name is Huong. Uh, my name is Huong from Hải Phòng University of Vietnam. I'm a third year student with the major international economics. Besides studying, I also participate in student activities at the school, and now I'm a member of Student Youth Union Managing Board. I'm so happy to participate in this conference. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much for coming, Ms. Wang. It's a pleasure to have you here. Next up, we have Ms. Gita Mahala from the University of Wollongong, Australia. She is currently pursuing a doctorate in computer science and serves as the EIS International Student Representative. How are you today, Ms. Gita?
Hello, everyone. Can
Hi, would you mind introducing yourself, your passion, and your leadership background?
Yep, sure. Hello, everyone. Thank you for inviting me here to represent about emotional intelligence in leadership or in leader. Currently, I am doing my PhD in computer science, and I'm also, regarding this talk, I'm also an international student rep for EIS faculty at University of Wollongong. And during the talk, I will talk about what my role is and what I'm doing on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gita. And last but not least, our panelists all the way from India. Let's welcome Ms. Aishwarya B from Karpagam Academy of Higher Education, India. She's currently pursuing a Master of Business Administration and has extensive experience as a project team leader. How are you, Miss Aishwarya?
Hello, I'm Aishwarya. I'm Aishwarya from India. I'm a student of Master of Business Administration. Currently, I'm pursuing my master's in Kahe. I did my bachelor's in Bachelor of Commerce, and I'm currently I'm a student of Master of Business Administration. And my passion is to start about uh, entrepreneurship and give a good work to everyone and to lead a team as a good leader.
Yes, that's very lovely to know. Thank you so much, Miss Aishwarya. There, ladies and gentlemen, what a great line of panelists we have with us today who are going to share with us their experience as leaders and how emotional intelligence is a big part of their leadership styles. Now, when it comes to leadership, emotional intelligence has recently become a very talked about and popular topic. So, what is it exactly? To define it briefly, emotional intelligence, or EQ, is the ability to recognize, control, and express one's emotions as well as to handle interpersonal situations wisely and empathically. One thing we know for sure is that it is a trait that does not necessarily have to come naturally, but it can be developed and improved. Now, without further ado, I know everyone's excited and eager to learn about emotional intelligence. Let us begin our discussion today with speeches by our panelists. Now, these speeches are prepared specially from our panelists. Now, first, let us welcome our first panelist, Ms. Feng. Ms. Feng, the floor is yours.
Hello. That's, I think emotional intelligence is very important in leaders because it helps to create a healthy and effective working environment via emotional self-awareness, emotional self-management, awareness of other thoughts and feelings, and hence efficient relationships management. In my experience, I've applied emotional intelligence during my work team activities. Last semester, we conducted a research project during my teamwork activities. Last semester, we conducted a research project on habits of using e-commerce sites of students at Haiphong University. We had 25 days to complete this project because of the intense COVID situation in Vietnam. Our five participants only divided the work and contacted with each other via email. After a few days, I realized that some members were not really engaged in the group work at all. They hardly replied to any of my emails and even failed to meet the group deadlines time after time. I felt very frustrated and angry. However, after a few minutes of deep breathing, I thought to myself that yelling at them could not solve the problem, and hurt other feelings could even worsen the situation. Instead, I gathered everyone so that we could share our feelings, our thoughts, and talk about what were actually keeping ourselves from fulfilling the task. And this gathering time really helps. Rather than filming over everyone's indifferent to the group work, I became aware of and developed empathy for their motivation, which were caused by lengthy social distance periods during the pandemic. As team leader, I proposed group online meeting every 3 days. During the meeting, each member has opportunities to present their working progress and difficulties that they might face through sincere sharing with each other and attentive listening to each other, we felt more understood and at the same time became more sympathetic to each other's issues. As a result, everyone in the team worked much harder to complete one's own task while actively supporting others to achieve the team's mutual goals. In the end, research projects we not only completed on time, but also received a good rating from the teachers, which makes us as a team very happy and proud. So, thanks to this experience and allies, I realized that emotional intelligence is such a powerful and important tool really for leadership. Thank you for listening. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Ms. Fung, for that very inspiring speech. So Ms. Fung just now talked about how she managed her team members, especially those who are not as cooperative as she wished. I'm sure a lot of us students, leaders, or just normal students have went through the same situation as Ms. Fung, having to manage a task as well as uncooperative team members, and it is how not the way you implement your leadership per se, but how you manage it in a very calm, you take deep breath, you sit together as a group. And I think that's very important for us to know, to bring and to move our group effectively and productively. So thank you so much, Ms. Huang, for your speech. Okay, next up, let's hear it for our second panelist, all the way from Australia, Ms. Gita Mahala from the University of Wollongong. Ms. Gita, we would like to hear your speech. Please welcome.
Yeah, thank you. First of all, I would like to thank the organizer team for their efforts to make this event happen. And then thank you so much for having me here. So in my initial brief introductions, as I mentioned that I was doing PhD, but in addition to my degree or studies, I actively work towards the betterment of community by sharing my knowledge with university students. Currently, I am an international student representative for Faculty of Engineering and Information Science at University of Wollongong. So basically, I am a voice for international student here, and my role is to listen problem faced by international students and take them to the higher management of the university and then work towards the solutions. And in addition to that, I'm also a part of a student advisory council as an EIS representative in University of Wollongong. So currently I'm working on a project seeking to provide a platform, a way for international students to find internship and work. So currently it is hard to get internship and work in their field for international students. So due to various reasons, so I'm currently working with EIS to create internship program and then industry collaboration to make these opportunities for international students. So as part of my role, because I have to work with the different stakeholders where my stakeholder can be a student, my stakeholder can be executive team from the university, and my stakeholder can be my colleagues. And that time I have to apply emotional intelligence or the skills to deal with the different scenarios every single day. So the topic is emotional intelligence in leadership. And then we can think of three main key words here: emotional intelligence and the leadership. If we understand the meaning of each of the keyword, then we can combine them and see how we can apply them. So when we talk about emotional, which means simply that emotions are related to individual person, and when we say intelligence, which means we acquire knowledge and skill and then apply that. And when we say leadership, which means the action of leading a group or a people or an organization. So when we control our emotions and apply our knowledge how to control them in a leadership to get a better performance in a team or get better results. So this term, as Nej mentioned, the emotional intelligence is not an old word. It is just a new term. And it was invented, I think, in 1990s first time. And then there was a book published, some of have you read, on emotional intelligence, which is why it can matter than IQ. So in currently, when we look at the corporate and the industry and the education, and we are also doing this seminar, we know that why this is important than IQ. There was a no term 20 years back which says emotional intelligent or a EQ, but there was a term called intelligent quotient. And then at that time, currently companies were just recruiting students or employees based on the IQ. So if we talk about the things like what is IQ and EQ, IQ was just a rational intelligence, which means basically that how good we are at logical reasoning, how good we are at analytical reasoning. But when we talk about the emotional intelligence, we say that someone who is aware of their own, they aware of their own feelings. So when we apply IQ, for example, when we know that when we know that what's happening in the computer, how algorithm is running, how computer is working, is a intelligent quotient. It is a rational intelligence. But when we know that what's happening inside ourselves is an emotional intelligence. So, in emotional intelligence, the key component in my thinking is emotions. So, emotions form a key component in life on our individuals. And it is often our emotions that describe our personality. And through emotions, we maintain our relationship with our friends, family, and colleagues. And whenever there is a situation where these emotions overpower, then we put in ourselves in an adverse situation in our interpersonal relationship with friends, family, and then colleague. So if I define a simple definition of emotional intelligence, means emotional intelligence is an act of handling problems of daily life wisely. So uh, if for example during as I mentioned, as I am an international student representative, sometimes you are working in a group and then you are passionate about something. So I'm passionate about the work that which can help the international students. But when we are doing this conversation, or when we are having this conversation, not necessarily I have to have everyone's same opinions. And that time sometimes we get irritated, we get frustrated, and sometimes we get anger as well, which means that we are not emotionally strong, we are not emotionally intelligent. So when I say if we are emotionally intelligent, then we have to control our emotions and we have to control the situation. Don't make ourselves as a slave of a problem or slave of a other situation or a problem where other things can control us. So if we control ourselves and if we are aware about the emotions, our emotions, and if our mind is in our control, then we become emotionally intelligent and then we can take decision on that. So basically I would say if we really want to be emotionally intelligent, we have to start with the first thing which I mentioned, like which is different than the rational intelligence, is know yourself, which is self-awareness. We should understand our own emotions, and then we should respect to the other impact, our emotions impact on others as well. And then the next step is, if we know and if I am aware that okay, this is my emotion. So for example, if in a meeting or in discussion I don't like somebody's point, and I know that something irritation is creating inside, so which means that's the first step, that I know that I'm aware of that, and then I have to self-regulate it to manage it, right? So keep that emotion under control. And then definitely whenever we talk about the emotional intelligence, we always talk about the social awareness, which is the empathy, which means we have to understand not just our emotions, we have to understand other people emotions. And if we understand other people emotions, then always speak carefully. We always say things, think before speaking anything, I would say. So overall, I would say if we really would like to be a high performing team or high performing leader, then we need to empathize. We need to have a self awareness. We need to have a self regulation. Then, as a leader, we can impact. We can understand the impact which whatever emotions we have on others, and we can achieve higher goals in life. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gita, for that such informative and insightful speech. I've learned so much in that few minutes alone. Just now, just to recap, we had three keywords relating to emotional intelligence, that is emotions, knowledge, as well as leadership. Now, like Ms. Gita said, right now we can measure EQ just as we were able to measure IQ. And knowing that it is measurable, it is important that we improve ourselves in terms of our EQ, in terms to perform better in terms of teamwork, our career, or just basically our personal development. Thank you so much, Ms. Gita, for that speech. Now, once again, everyone, we are going to listen to our last speech for today before we move on to our questions. Please welcome our third panelist, Ms. Aishwarya B. from Karpagam Academy of Higher Education, India, who will enlighten us with a speech about emotional intelligence from her own research that she did in her university. Ms. Aishwarya B., the floor is yours.
Good morning, all, and my greetings and gratitude to everyone. First of all, I thank you to the organizer uh, to make the wonderful opportunity for all the panelists, and I also happy to share my forum in with along all the panelists. I'm Aishwarya, a student of Master of Business Administration. I'm pursuing my education in Kahe. I'm a representative speaker for my country, India. First of all, we need to know what is emotional intelligence is. Emotional intelligence Emotional intelligence is the ability to understand, recognize, and manage our own emotions, and also to recognize other emotions. We need to handle it properly because it is emotional intelligence plays a huge impact in our life. Emotional intelligence consists of five elements, which is self-awareness, self-regulation, motivation, empathy, and social skills. Here is the strongest predictor of workplace performance. Leaders. We all know who leader is. Before going to leaders, first we need to know when the emotional intelligence was developed. In 1990, John and Mayer was developed. John and Peter were developed emotional intelligence, but after that, Goldman have heard about the emotional intelligence, and along he developed into it. And he also gave a great difference between what is cognitive skills and what is emotional intelligence is. A leader is a person who influences his or her activity by not only a role of administrating, but also he needs to lead a team in effective manner. Yeah, effective leader must have three skills: technical skill, cognitive skills, and emotional intelligence. Basically, the human have cognitive skills under the development of age category 0 to 2, 2 to 5, and 5 to 11, and above 11. Most of the leaders were developing at the time of above 11 years age. And also, a Goldman gave a great difference between what is cognitive skills and emotional intelligences. Now we're going to see a brief in emotional what is emotional intelligence. EI plays a vital role in leadership actions. When the emotional intelligence and leadership skill is bound together, we can achieve a lot more things in our life. Let's example, increase team performance, improve decision making, increase personal well-being, reduce turnover, decrease occupational stress, increase leadership ability can achieve when the emotional intelligence and leadership is bound together. Here we comes for an interesting part of our speak. Uh, According to recent survey, the top most emotional intelligence leaders I have listed. First, let's see about Elon Musk. Elon Musk is the CEO of Tesla and SpaceX. In the factory, the injury was happened to the employees after he claims that uh, a higher than average injury rate at Tesla's Fremont factory. CEO Elon Musk urged the workers to report all injuries and made the spontaneous decision. He also supported the family with financially and emotionally. It shows that Elon Musk is a top most emotionally intelligent leader in the world. And uh, let's see about Indra Nooyi. Indra Nooyi is a former CEO of PepsiCo. She she always write a greetings to their employees and families as well. At the time of New Year and Christmas, she always write a greetings to their family, and she says that employees are the gift given by their parents for the organization. And next comes to Satya Nadella. Satya Nadella, the CEO of Microsoft, they developed Twitter bot and take with artificial intelligence. But a public experiment went horribly wrong when they used for 16 hours. He also urged the staffers to take criticism in the right spirit while exercising deep empathy for anyone. Learn from experience rather than scolding the employees. It shows that they are the topmost intelligent leaders in the world. Here comes to an interesting part of post-COVID impact on people's emotion. Right now, we are handling a lot of emotions. Post-COVID impact as a human, we are dealing with lot of emotions. The intense emotion, depression, fear, stress, and huge level of anxiety. Before COVID, the pre-COVID, every leaders are successful with providing staffs with right resources, tools, and incentives to help others. But after post-COVID, leaders are poorly equipped to deal with the demands. This is how new future leaders still needs the traditional leadership to follow. This graph shows that from 2014 to 2018, the emotional intelligence were gradually increasing. But after COVID, we are dealing with emotions, and lot of mood swings were making us to feel low. So from 2019 and 20, the emotional intelligence were drastically decreasing. I made a survey by my own in my Kahe institution to know the emotional intelligence, the leaders of Kahe in post-pandemic to provide the insights of emotional intelligence in leader. I made a survey with a total population of 400 and sample size of 240. I took 240 as a sample size because it's the total from the total population. It is the 60 percentage, and I also used simple sampling technique as simple random sampling, which comes under the probability sampling. The primary data and secondary data is I have used as a data collection. In primary data, I have used questionnaire, and secondary data I have used journals, books, etc. Questionnaire description I have used four quadrants, which is self awareness, self management, social awareness, and relationship management. And I also use statistical tools as simple percentage analysis, descriptive statistics, ANOVA, independent sample t test. This table shows that the distribution based on their age and gender. uh, Distribution based on the age. In my institution, the people from 30 to 35 years, 35 to 40 years, 40 to 40 years, and above 45 years were majorly joined in this. But majority of the respondents belong to 40 to 45 years of age group category. When it comes to gender, male and female were actively participated, and majority of the female leaders participated in this survey. Distribution based on their experience. In our institution Kahe, 5 to 10 years and 15 to 10 to 15 years, 15 to 20 years and above 20 years were participated. Majority of the 15 to 20 years of experienced leaders participated in this survey. Major findings for my study shows that age group of 30 to 45 are highly perceived emotional intelligence. According to Goldman, from 68 to 83, when the people have this range, they are considered as highly emotionally intelligent. So, according to Goldman, from the age group 35 to 45 years are highly emotional intelligence in my study. And when it comes to gender, uh, it is referred that female leaders have perceived higher level of emotional intelligence rather than men's. Major finding for the study in based on experience. According to the experience, 15 to 25 years of experience leaders have high level of emotional intelligence in my institution Kahe. Here we comes for a result of the study. Leaders in Kahe perceive the higher level of emotional intelligence in post-pandemic. According to our institution and my study, the people in Kahe are highly emotionally intelligent. Conclusion. Empathetic leadership style was followed by the leaders in Kahe. Average group of 35 to 45 years are more perceived than the youngsters. 15 to 25 years are experienced leaders showing growth than others, provide a high level of support to the employees, facilitating during pandemic, free vaccination, free medical treatment for employees and their families. The job security also provided by our institution to make them feel free and flexible in working, and work from home made the employees to manage the pandemic with moral support. Support is the strength them physically and emotionally. Here, my survey shows that the leader should be very strong and emotionally intelligent to make the employees to feel free. The trust is the only object which bound the employees and the leaders bound together. Thank you for this wonderful opportunity.
A lot of findings that are not just surprising but also very inspiring to see. Now I'm excited for our further discussions today, where we'll be asking the panelists all questions that I personally want to know, and I know the audience might also want to know. Now that we've heard from all of our panelists, like I said, it's time for more in-depth questions that will further help us to understand emotional intelligence in leadership. Okay, my first question, I would like to ask Ms. Huang. Now, we've heard a lot about emotional intelligence, but to you personally, can you summarize with us the characteristics of emotional intelligence? What exactly defines as emotional intelligence, and how can one be emotionally intelligent? Thank you.
Hello. In my, I think uh, way to improve emotional intelligence during the pandemic. One, focus on what you can control. To improve your communication skill. Three, practice being calm. Four, put ours in some else shoes to look at the situation from other people's perspective. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wang. Now, she just shared with us how we can improve our emotional intelligence as leaders in the midst of COVID-19. I like the part where Ms. Wang mentioned about the ability for us to put ourselves in the others' shoes. That shows empathy, which I think is important in all of leaders, so that we understand how a team works and how we best use them to, further to make our team productive. Thank you so much, Ms. Wang.
Thank you.
Now, we've heard, all the good things about leaders with high emotional intelligence. But what about those who are lacking of emotional intelligence? What are the type of leaders, who may not have a high emotional intelligence? So I would like to ask this question to Ms. Geeta Mahala. Can you walk us through the difference between leaders with high emotional intelligence and those lacking in it?
Yeah, sure. So if we just consider for example, like currently the audience is students. So if you just consider, most of the time students needs to work in a group, right? So they're working in a project and something, and just consider like we have two groups, and then and then each group has 5 students, and then definitely we say, okay, elect one student as a leader, and then they have leader as well. So when they want to finish their projects, and then they need to have a conversation regularly, and then something, and in the group everybody wants to do their best, but then and then leader, as a leader, is managing other students. And then, for example, one of the students come up with a new idea, said, okay, and to the leader, that whatever you have given the suggestion is not the right way to do. I think we should do this way. But if the leader take it personally, and then maybe create an emotion of anger, and couldn't handle the criticism from a team member, because if the the leader thinks that he's a leader, and then he has leadership skills, which means he can control other people, but other people can't control that leader, which means that time it shows, and then aggressively or in anger, if he insult that a team member in front of other, it shows that the leader has a low emotional intelligence, because that leader was not aware about his or her emotion, and the leader was not aware, couldn't handle, and then just couldn't handle the situation of criticism, because that's where that's where he got angry. And another side, in the same scenario, if a leader another team member comes and say to the leader that this idea is not good, we should opt this, and the leader just maybe have some irritation inside, why that team member is criticizing my idea, but still handle very carefully, take a deep breath, and then think before speaking, and then handle the situation calmly, which shows the high emotional intelligence. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Ms. Gita. I agree. To be able to become a great leader, it's also measured by how well you accept criticism and how you improve yourself. Just because you're a leader does not mean that you're always right, true? So,
Yep.
usually maybe your team members have better ideas. Maybe your team members can improve the workflow in a way that leader might not expect that it would,
Yep.
improve. So I agree. To be able to accept criticism is very important. What about Miss Aishwarya or Miss Huang? You have more to add on what makes a good leader with high emotional intelligence, and what constitute of a person with low emotional intelligence. Maybe Miss Aishwarya would like to add on your opinion.
Can I get you again?
What makes a leader that have low emotional intelligence, and the difference with leaders with high emotional intelligence?
The stress and other components, like we are when we have mood swings and we are not aware of ourselves, then we cannot control our emotional intelligence. The emotional intelligence is important for leadership. When the emotional intelligence bound together with leadership, we can achieve a lot. The leaders must have the quality of having emotional intelligence.
Yes, true. To control your anger as well. That's very important, especially when leaders are stressed, overwhelmed with work. It's important that you know how to manage your stress. Okay, thank you, Miss Ashwarya. All right, so our next question I would like to ask again, Miss Ashwarya. I think we've mentioned this before, but I like to stress again. Maybe we can, further emphasis on the importance of emotional intelligence, specifically in leadership. Why is it important in making your team productive?
uh, when the emotional intelligence is important, uh, it helps to increase with performance, improve decision making, increase personal well-being, and reduce staff turnover, decrease occupational stress, and enhancing quality of leadership. So basically the emotional intelligence is very important for every human. Leaders must be empathetic, and the sympathy is not needed for the leaders. The empathy is required for the leaders, and they need to manage the team very well to make the employees to feel free in the organization. So in organization, the members can get decreased stress, so the productivity also become very good, and the harmonious situation can arise in the organization to avoid the bad situation.
Yes, thank you so much, Miss Ashwarya. Yes, true. It's important. I think overall, to sum it briefly, it's important to create a very productive atmosphere, an environment that people can work, in a happy mood. You don't want your team members to come to work or to start your working in a stressful environment. So yes, it's important to create a stress-free environment when your leader is good at managing their emotional intelligence. Okay. Our next question. I would like to ask Ms. Gita Mahala. Now, we've heard about emotional intelligence, the characteristics, but how can students develop their emotional intelligence? How can we improve it? Not just students, maybe everyone too.
Yeah. So first thing I would say, just not knowing, like I know like this emotional intelligence is so common nowadays, and then lots of books are available in the market, and then you can read, and then when you read, you feel good that okay, I have read that book, and let's talk about that, and I have attended that seminar, for example, today's seminar, and then you think that okay, I have enough information, and then you go and then share with your friends and say okay, this is this. So if you just do that, you can't develop emotional intelligence. You have to implement them. If you learn one thing, so emotional intelligence comes with set of skills, right? Just for example, we have talked about like empathy, sympathy, kindness. Just take one at a time and then implement yourself, right? So if you say okay, I am empathic, which means in day-to-day life, look as example that okay, how many times a situation arise where I can be frustrated, I can get angry as well, but then I use my empathy skill and to just normalize the situation. So I would say the first important thing is to implement, not just read and share the good things. The whatever we get, just implement it, and then one by one, if we implement it, we will be emotionally definitely intelligent. So because when we say like IQ, how we test the IQ, right? So IQ is just like in random rational intelligence, just like when we are saying okay, logical reasoning. When we solve it, we see the results, right? So we have created like wonderful things in the world due to IQ. So we are in the space now, and then we are searching space and other things, right? And then look, now we are connecting with this internet. That was the result of rational intelligence, right? But we implement it and then we see the results. So similarly, in the intelligent, emotional intelligence, we have to implement it, not just listen and talk about it and feel good. Just implement, and then when we implement it, we feel the experience. We can see the experience as well. And apart from that, like basic steps are just as we all know, just to have your self-awareness, to understand your emotions, and you to understand that how your emotions impact another. Second step is just once you know the emotions and when you know yourself, then you can manage them. Just manage, and then definitely use the different social awareness skills where we understand other people's emotions, other people's situation, and then their perspective, and respect and behave accordingly. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Miss Gita. Yes, the key is to practice what you learn, right? Implement what you learn. Even if you read a lot, but at the end of the day, knowledge comes with your actions.
Yep.
So I agree with that. But maybe, Miss Gita, if you don't mind me further ask the question, what do you think students can do on their day-to-day basis? Maybe like some habits that they could practice that indirectly would improve their emotional intelligence? Something very mundane that people can practice.
Yeah, so the first thing is like when we leave our home and go to the university, right? So when we say that low emotional intelligence, which means that our emotion disturbed, right? So common thing is shows the low of emotional intelligence is the irritation, right? Frustration. So if as a student, if we start that, okay, whatever situation will come in my way today, I will not irritate, I will understand and handle that situation, I will not get frustrated. And another thing is take your own responsibility, don't blame that due to that situation, due to that people, I get frustrated, I get irritated, right? Just think as like, okay, because you are controlling your mind, and then if you are controlling your mind, then you are responsible for that. So if you just start with simple things that, okay, because emotional intelligence is nothing which can work outside, it is inside. That's why we are saying self-awareness. Every time when we say emotional intelligence, we say self-awareness, right? Thinking about yourself inside, this term we always use. So for students, like in everyday life, just think that, okay, whenever you have these simple things, try to improve them, and then you will see the results as well. Yeah, thank you.
Yes. Sometimes the little things that we do in life that actually contributes to how we manage our emotional intelligence. So,
Yep.
what about Miss Huang? If you mind sharing with us something maybe that you do that helps you to develop or increase your emotional intelligence from your experience. What are some of the things that you practice to help you improve your emotional intelligence?
You excuse me. You ask how improve
Yeah,
international.
yeah. Like how you yourself as a student, practice a habit that improves emotional intelligence.
The way to improve emotional intelligence during the pandemic. I think the first learning to we should learning to control your emotion and for focus focus our what lister can control. We can control uh, the second improve our communication skills. The third we should practice being calm. The finally the, and finally is put in someone else's shoes to look at situation from other people's perspective. Yes, thank you.
Okay. Yes. Thank you, Miss Wang. Yeah. I think it's important that we practice being calm. Maybe take a deep breath when we are feeling agitated with our team members. That is one of the ways where we can improve our emotional intelligence just by how we, you know, practice our breathing. I think that is an important key to keeping yourself calm. What about Miss Aishwarya? What did you do on your daily life that helps you improve your emotional intelligence?
In my daily life, I always uh, think one thing. Always being motivated, it helps me to improve my emotional intelligence. As a human, we always have lot of emotions to deal in daily basis. But being optimistic helps me to motivated and to achieve my emotional intelligence. being pessimistic not helps me to is not a thing. As a human, we all have to need to face criticisms, pessimistic things, everything, but we need to ignore them, and we need to think only the good things which happen in our life, and we need to be always motivated. And also we can use some asanas, yoga asanas, to improve our intelligence. I also use some yoga techniques to to improve my emotional intelligence. And every human can improve their emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is a skill which can be developed easily by ourselves. It is not a big thing to deal. Everything can we can achieve by practice, because practice makes the man perfect, right? As a human, we need to make practice. We need not to think the precise result and achievements. We need to go through the procedures, and we need to concentrate on the process that we what we progressing in. So being motivated and self-awareness makes me to be a good emotionally intelligent person in daily basis. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Miss
Are
Ashwarya.
you Gita?
I agree with you.
You
I
are the victim?
being optimistic is very important. Keeping an open mind, always be positive when it comes to controlling, not controlling, I wouldn't say controlling, but managing your team. It is very important, to have um, like a clear view of what you want. That way you won't be demotivated to keep your team going, because as soon as the leader is demotivated, I feel like the whole team would be influenced by that negativity. And I think it's important that leaders show a high spirit for your team members. And if I hear it correctly, I'm sorry, Miss Ashara, did you mention yoga, doing yoga? Or did I hear that wrongly? I think just now you said something about practicing yoga. Did I hear that correctly? Okay, but either way, if it is yoga, I think as students, that helps too. Yoga is related to meditating, I think, and meditation is one of the best ways for you to keep your mind calm. And when you're calm, you're more rational to act with your emotions. You do not act irrationally. So I think if it's yoga that you mentioned just now, I completely agree with it. I think everyone should try and practice meditating. It's especially in this time where everyone's busy, everyone's overwhelmed. There's burnout happening to students, which is sad. And I think by practicing controlled breathing really helps. All right. So thank you. That is, students, how you can develop your emotional intelligence. Now, my next question is an open one. It's quite controversial, but I think it's important that we address this. And it is about female leaderships, female leaders, and how we are sometimes associated with being too emotional. Making people question females' ability to lead. I know some, like right now we have the Me Too movement. We have women being and trying to encourage just equality, but we cannot deny that there is that stereotype, that perception that women are sometimes more emotional. So my question goes to maybe Miss Ashwarya. Is there a difference in terms of leadership between men and women? So, and how can women break this stereotype that people put on us?
Stereotype that women are too emotional and they cannot lead the team. Like we have some stereotype. It may be due to some diet choice, genetic stress, maybe the reasons. But even yeah, women are very highly emotionally intelligent. In my study shows that Indra Nooyi is a person who is very intelligent in a worldwide. So we cannot stereotype that based on the gender. We cannot stereotype, right? In my study, the most of the female leaders were emotionally intelligent, even in our institution. Uh, there is no significant difference between both and women based on their emotional intelligence. I agree, but women are very emotional, but they are very emotionally intelligent too. maybe the reasons, maybe scientifically, the hormonal changes and their uh, diet choice and genetics and the work pressure for the woman in this life. Maybe the reasons for they are too emotional, but we cannot stereotype that men are very emotionally intelligent as prefer to female. Uh, there is no significant difference between gender. We need to equally treat the gender in this era because we are in modern generation. We need to uh, ma- we need to make the gender equal to avoid these kind of stereotypes. Everything is equal, right?
Yes, thank you, Miss Asharia. I like that part where you said, yes, women are emotional, but we are also emotional intelligent. So I love that. I think I'm going to keep that, to make that as a defense whenever people say that women are emotional. What about Miss Geeta? Do you have any opinions when it comes to female leaders and how we are stereotyped as being too emotional?
Yeah, so I think when we start answering this thing, definitely I also disagree. But then, because we have been talking about emotional intelligence in leadership, so just like use our emotional intelligence, why people think that women are not good leader as male or they are not emotionally intelligent, because in the past, most I would say like in the world, women played lots of roles. So women played like role of a daughter, start with the daughter, then mother, then a wife, and then a grandmother, and then different role. And then in the past, most of the household work or the child bringing was handled by women, and that's why woman has emotions. But when we say that, when we talk about emotional intelligence, we say, oh, we need empathy, we need a kindness, we need a sympathy, right? If somebody has these skills, which means that person is a good leader, which means these skills more have in women, because they play the role of a mother, and then a wife, and then they are the main assets in the family to raise a family. And as a woman, they have more empathy, more kindness, more sympathy. That's has been researched a lot. And if a woman has these skills and these define the emotional intelligence, then conclusion is definitely women are more intelligent. Thank you.
Yes, that's I agree with you. I think the stereotype happens, it goes back historically, way back where we maybe women were
Women
looked
were
down
not
upon.
in the work. Yeah, they were not
Yes,
in the society. We're working.
yes,
Yeah.
do not involve actively in office
Hmm.
works, in administration, in decision making, policy
Yep.
making. So now that women are given the opportunity, which is good, and also like you said, the roles of mothers, wives, really helps in building the emotional intelligence,
Hmm.
because it relates to empathy, sympathy, which is all I believe are maternal instincts. So
Yep.
yes, I think we may be emotional, but because of our emotional tendencies, we're better at managing them, I think.
Yeah.
But that's not to say that men right now are not good at it. I think it.
It,
Yeah. What do
it
you think?
depends on practicing.
Yes, it all goes
Yeah.
back to how you practice individual self, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Now, what about do we have questions from the panelists to each other? Maybe you want to keep the conversation going. What about you, Miss Gita? Do you have any questions
Uh,
for the panelists?
So I have one question from Ashra, that she did some studies on this thing, and then she reported some results that the age between that to that, and the female and the male reasons, and then who has more intelligent than other. Can I ask a question like? What are the key factors you recognize that why that group has more intelligent than other?
Intelligent people have lot of experience because the experience in their career make them to know where they need to react strong and light emotions. As a leader he need to know um, the emotions of others. He need to be very empathetic for their employees, why they are behaving in this manner, why they are reacting to the situations as like so the experience needs a lot to plays a major role. So the experience in a 10 so the experience shows a lot for the people leaders to succeed, and the male and in gender female are very highly emotionally intelligent in my study. I do study in my institution Kahe, because they are dealing emotions very good, and based on their experience, the 15 to 25 20 years of experience, leaders are very highly emotionally intelligent, because they comes under the age group of 40 to 45 years. They're even very experience, and they are still young to make the decisions clear, and they can provide lot of efforts. When the ages when they get very older, they cannot make efficient, they will be very efficient, but uh, they cannot be very speed and spontaneous, according to me. um,
So can I ask like how many male and how many female did you include in research when you are saying that maybe like it is an equally distributed data set?
no, female were participated more than 50, and male participated nearly 100.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you. And then did you include the younger age as well?
Sorry.
Did you include like okay, of course, experience teach you most of the things, and then when you are saying that they are highly intelligent, I can understand because their age is 35 and 40 and they have 20 to 25 of experience, and then sometimes experience teaches lots of things. So I'm just asking like did you consider like because we are talking in front of students, I'm just want to know, do you consider the young youth as well between 18 and 20 or less than 20 or 22 in this research or no?
I have not included the youngsters. I have started from the age group 30 to 35,
Okay,
and
sure, thank you.
32 and above 45 I have included.
Mhm, sure, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Miss Ashwarya and Miss Gita, for the question and answers. Yeah, I think Miss Ashwarya mentioned how experience plays a huge role in determining one's emotional intelligence, and I couldn't agree more. The more you, you know, expose yourself to leadership, the more you handle people, I think the more it helps you to improve yourself in terms of emotional intelligence. Yes. So I have another questions before we move on to our questions from the audience, and that is how, as leaders, can use emotional intelligence to motivate our team. Just now, Ms. Ashwarya mentioned about being optimistic, keeping ourselves motivated, and to lead. But how about how we, as leaders, can influence our team members to be motivated?
I think giving example of ours, and then if we give them an example, so if we are in a team, and then if as I mentioned before in my speech that like if somebody criticized me, right, and if I handle that situation, definitely like my other team member can learn that okay, not a leader, even as a person, how she has handled the situation, and if in future if that comes, then definitely I have to handle the situation same way. So by doing, I think so we can teach our team members, and then definitely whenever like if somebody also shows these things emotionally like in a team member, we should appreciate that in front of others that okay, this is the good thing that you have managed this situation very well.
Setting a good example and communicating. Thank you so much,
Yeah,
Miss Gita.
yeah.
What about from you, Miss Ashwarya? What is your opinion? How can leaders use emotional intelligence to motivate team members?
um, by giving trust to the employees, uh, by being empathy, and being relationship management, the leaders need to be manage the relationship very well, and they need to make the difference between personal life and professional life, and also give some occupational uh, leave from stress, because being stressed cannot achieve a lot of productivity in the organization. The leaders need to take care of their employees by being empathy. um, as a leader, he need to take care of the whole employees, and need to lead the team very well.
Yeah, okay. True that. We need to trust our team members, right, in order to motivate them. I think many leaders kind of not look at how trust is such an important element in order for our team members to work as best as they can. So I think this goes back to micromanaging. Now, some leaders they have the tendency to micromanage, sort of as a way to maybe not trust the team players enough. Do you have any panels have any opinions of like micromanaging and how that could affect the team you're working with?
Um, Being more micromanagement makes the employees to feel stress. Uh, they need to know where they are managing. In a professional life, they can make micromanagement, but the leaders should not interfere in their personal lives, because every human have their personal and the professional in different manners. Uh, as the in their professional life, they can make a micromanage, and even they can give some opinions towards achieving their goals, and uh, they make a plan to achieve a vision of an vision and objectives of the organization. But the leaders know the time and their life between personal and professionalism. Micromanage can make us to feel good as well as bad. The leaders need to know the line where they are making, where they are crossing their limit, and where they need to lead the team properly. uh, in my in my opinion, the leaders can make micromanagement in professional life, to make an objective the and achieve the organizational goal.
Yes, true. It can be good, can be bad. It depends on how the leaders, manage the team. Thank you, Ms. Ashwarya. Any more opinions or answers maybe from the floor? No. Okay. Next, we maybe let's go deeper into our own personal experiences. So my next question goes to Miss Huang. Um, we hear just now briefly about your experience as a leader. Can you share with us more on your leadership style and how you incorporate emotional intelligence in your leadership? How are you as a leader? How do you manage your team?
Thank you for your questions. I, I always and as leader, I always take care about my feeling yours members of members of teams, and how how do you feel, how the feels and how the feel and how the things.
Yeah, I think knowing how your team members feel and think, is it not? It's important.
I think emotional intelligence is important in leadership. Uh, in
Yeah, it's true. Emotional intelligence is important, and like you said just now, being able to read the room. I think knowing what your team members think and feel, that's a really important part of being emotionally intelligent leaders. Okay, now I think we have heard from all of the panelists. Those are all the questions. Now we have about 45 minutes left before our session ends, and I would like to dedicate these 45 minutes to answer some of the questions that we have from the audience. Now, the organizer, if you could maybe share with us some of the questions. Are they coming? Okay. So our first question is from Adriana Batrisha. Can I know what inspired you to be a leader? And I think we can ask every one of the panelists here what inspires you to be a leader. Let's hear it first from our first panelist, Miss Aishwarya. What inspires you to be a leader? Hello, is the line okay? Or maybe we go to Miss Gita first. Let's hear it from Miss Gita. Can I know what inspires you to be a leader?
So for me, I think if you would like to do to betterment for the community, that community can be a university, that community can be a society, that community can be your country. So if you are eager to take challenge and want to change something, then definitely you have to be leader. Then you can lead a team under you, or you take that your voice up that okay, there is a issue, we need to have betterment. So basically what inspired me to as leader even here in University of Wollongong as an international rep is that okay, international as an international student I can understand their voice and then pain that they can't get employment here in Australia due to various reasons, and that was the challenge I like, and then I would like to resolve them. So that's I like, if you really would like to do something betterment for your community and society, then you have to be a leader, I think so.
Yes, I think a lot of us can relate to that. We want to lead because we want to be able to help the society, the community, not just because we like the power or because we like controlling,
Yeah.
but because we genuinely, care for the community, and that inspires you to be a leader. That's so beautiful. Thank you so much, Miss Kita. What about Miss Huang? Can I know what inspires you to be a leader?
Excuse me, can you repeat a question?
What inspires you to be a leader?
Is s- we are I'm I want to manage restaurants. So
You would like to manage a restaurant. That's interesting. Is it true? Yeah. Yeah, to become the manager of a restaurant, to become leaders, and to be able to oversees your team. That's a big role to to manage a whole restaurant.
yes,
Mhm. Do you have your own restaurant there in Vietnam? Maybe a
yes.
family business.
I um restaurant restaurant my parents my parents.
Yeah, that's great. So one day you'll be able to overtake to, take over the restaurant and be a good boss to be a good employer to all of your employees and staffs. That's great to know. Thank you, Miss Wang. What about you, Miss Ashwarya? What inspires you to be a leader?
To be a leader, we can develop our community, and we also can avoid the biased decisions. As a leader, we need to make the proper decisions, and we can develop our community as a leader, effective leader. We can develop. mm, and the leader influences by their activities. That leader can achieve the objectives and goals by leading a team very in an effective manner. Some of the leaders were inspired a lot in my life, so I am interested and inspired with leadership.
So, yes, to be able to bring your team to higher grounds, to become successful, not just for yourself but for your team. That's a very inspiring, reason to become a leader. Thank you, panelists. Let's answer more questions from the audience. Do we have the next one? Yes. This we have a question from Muhammad Anas. What's one piece of advice you have for students that aspire to be a leader or is currently a leader? Any advice you have to leaders, student leaders? Maybe we can hear it from Miss Gita. Do you have any advice for students?
Yeah, first take the challenge, I would say, to be a leader. And then once you have that challenge and then apply whatever we have discussed today, the emotional intelligence to successfully finish that challenge to a leader. Yeah.
Yes, true. Take that challenge, everyone. Sometimes we are presented with the opportunity, but we're too scared, right? We're too afraid
Yeah.
to take that
Yeah.
challenge.
Yeah, don't think like definitely whenever we choose to do something, and then this is a human tendency. I think we think about the risk associated with that challenge. I think so. But if you want to be a real leader, and then something which motivates you as well, not just the leader that you really want to do, but you want to take a challenge and that motivates you, and that's the passion for you, then just take that opportunity when you get it, and then start working on it. Yeah.
True. And this goes to maybe not just like big roles, but roles as simple as being the class representative. If you're asked to
Yeah.
be, yeah, right, volunteer to become class
Yeah.
representatives,
Yeah, that's
volunteer.
that's how, like, yeah, that's how we start with a small group. Like, if you read any story of a leader, big leader, if you talk about, then they have started their journey in the small level. Nobody can't be a big leader without doing nothing before, right? So you have to do step by step, and then you become a big leader.
Yes, slowly make our way up there. True.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you, Miss Geeta. There's other panelists would like to add. I would like to hear also advice, maybe from Miss Ashwarya. Any advice you have for students that aspire to be a leader or is currently a leader?
As a leader, we need to step into the situation that what's happening currently. We need not to worry about the final decisions. In our life, we may there is a probability of positivity and as well as the failure or success. As a leader, the strong step in front means a lot. As a leader, he need to be very strong to deal with the situations that what's happening around us, and we need to aware of the situation, and we also have the ability to deal the situations that what's happening. um, to become a great leader is not meant already is right. It is by practice we can make an effective leader. uh, by using some techniques we can everyone can become a leader, but the leader should be very strong to deal with the situations and their team. um, the In my opinion, the leader should be very strong to deal with the situations. He need not to think the precise result. The result may be the positive one or negative one, but the strong step into the situation means a lot in my opinion, I think so.
Yes, true. We need to be mentally strong. It's not an easy task to do to be able to lead the team. So being mentally prepared is a good advice. Thank you so much, Ms. Ashwarya. What about Ms. Feng? Do you have any advice for students who wants to be leaders or is currently a leader? Any tips?
Thank you for question. I think to be a, a good leadership, people need to take care of their own feelings and share with each others, and participate in group works and volunteer to develop everything. Uh, and in, the most important thing have is to have in party. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Miss Feng. Yes, that's true. In order to be a good leader, you need to listen to your group, and that is, I think, a good advice because more often than not, leaders tend to not want to listen. So as leaders, active listening is important. So make sure that you include all of your team members in all group discussions, group work, not just taking the lead, but also giving the opportunities for others to speak up their mind. Thank you, Ms. Wang. Let's hear it for our next questions from the audience. The question is from Partha Sarati and it's for Miss Gita. Are EI and IQ complementing each other? If so, how to balance it? That's a really good question. Let's hear it from Miss Gita.
Yeah. First of all, I don't agree that they are complementing each other. They are different because one of them, where we're saying IQ, which is rational intelligence, is working in the outer things where we say that, okay, we achieve, if we do something and then we achieve something, right? So where we apply our logical reasoning or analytic power to solve problems. So maybe a person can be good at IQ, but not an EI, emotional intelligent. So, but if you just say, okay, if you have good IQ as well as good EQ, definitely you become more successful as a leader, I would say. So currently, if we look at the companies and then if you read some articles, we figure out that, okay, companies are more eager to hire people who has higher not EI, I think it's called EQ, emotional quotient, than IQ. Because if you have emotional quotient higher, right? So IQ is just a rational intelligence. Maybe by doing something, you can improve your IQ easy than EQ, because in EQ, you have to work inner world by yourself, not just because for everything you achieve by experience, not just physical output. When you apply IQ, you can see the physical output. When you apply EQ, you never seen a physical object or something in front of you. You just experience that thing. Thank you. Uh,
Yes.
if I couldn't make the answer, please you can ask the further question.
Yes, I think that answers it perfectly. They are different, and IQ is something that I think we can learn, we practice through practicing our own mind. It's rational and logical thinking, whereas EQ is something that you go through every single day. You sometimes you subconsciously try to manage your feelings, and it's how you interpret it into your
Yeah.
professional see.
It depends on person to person. Some people are born to be high EQ as well, right? And
Mm,
then some people has to develop their skill. That's why like some people get upset very easily in the same situation, but other people can't in the same situation because there is a difference with their emotional constant level.
yes, and I would say the first step to, improving or developing your emotional intelligence is being aware how you are naturally in terms of emotional intelligence. Do you think you're higher in terms of emotional intelligence, or do you think that you need more work than the rest to develop your emotional intelligence? That's a really good answer. Thank you so much, Miss Kita. Do we have any more questions, or maybe yes, organizer, do we have more questions? Okay, we have a question from Sweet Aina that reads, as a leader, how to maintain control over emotions. Now, any volunteers from the panelists who would like to answer this question?
I think this is the key to be emotionally intelligent, to control your emotions, and that's what we have been discussing. This is the second step, I would say. So before you want to control your emotions, you need to know your emotions as well. And if you know your self-awareness about your emotion, and the next step comes to the regulation, which is self-regulation, and we say how we can manage that thing. So control emotion is again our practice and implementing. So okay, first day you get angry, but the second day in the same situation you don't get angry, because you have to tell your mind that no, that's a normal situation, don't be angry. And once your mind learn that okay, it's this situation, I don't need to be angry, then after some time it automatically happen with you. Yeah.
That's true. And I also think that being angry is a choice, you know? Like
Yeah, it is
sometimes,
a choice.
yeah,
Yeah, it is a choice. Yeah. But
yeah,
because, but not necessarily, yeah, it is a choice, but then if you don't have awareness, then it's not choice as well, because sometimes like you don't know, because you are not in a situation where you can control your mind, and then you can't control. Then like okay, it is a choice, but but if you heard from people, they say okay, I can't control my mind, I can't control my behavior, right? Most of the time we listen these things that we can't control these things. That time that they have passed the one phase, which is they are not aware of this they are not aware of their emotions. If you are aware of your situation, then definitely it's your choice. Yeah.
yes, true. And if I may add, one thing that I personally do when I want to control over my emotions is whenever something agitates me, is that I think consciously, should I be angry about this? Should I waste my feelings and energy to be angry about this? Or is this something that is not over my control? Yes, yeah. So I agree with that. It's a choice. What about Miss Ashwarya? Do you have any opinions on this? Any answers? How do we maintain control over our emotions?
uh, we can manage our emotions by using self awareness, self management, relationship management, and social awareness. As a human, we need to control our emotions because as a human, we are dealing with emotions with all peoples. We need to face lot of peoples in our day to day life. We cannot make every emotions to everyone because when we feel angry, someone will be happy. At the time when we go and make some angry mood swing to them, it will not be a good one. Then we will spoil their mood too. So as a person, we need to control our emotions. But too much of control will make us to feel stress in some after some point of time. So dumping emotions is not a good thing. But we have some minimal control over emotions is very important. Um, and as a leader, as a person, we need to have manage our emotions properly. But when it comes to leadership, it's very important to manage a leader. But when we are normal person, there is no need to manage a very strong emotions. When we manage too much of emotions, then at one point of time, then we feel very stressed. We need to have some well wishers to feel our emotions, that what we feeling and what we go through in life. But there is no necessity to show our emotions to everyone in this around us. uh, um, the control over emotions we need to take. according to the situation, according to the person, it differs. Um, but in my point of view, the minimal control over emotions is very quite and good to become strong and harmonious to our life. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much for the answer and the advice. It's okay sometimes to not being able to control your emotions. I think that's important too, that we have to feel what we feel. You know, we cannot, maybe it's the way you act upon how you feel. It's okay that you feel angry. It's okay that you're frustrated over something, but you have to be aware of how you act upon it. Yes. Yes, and I also think, like you said, Miss Ashwarya, that you cannot hide your feelings, or maybe you can't keep it inside you for too long, right? I think that that could be detrimental to your mental health as well, and you do not want that. So thank you, Miss Ashwarya. Can we have another question? Do we have more questions? Okay, our next question is from Nabila Chirahim. What do you think is the most significant barrier to female leadership? Now, this is an interesting question. Would any of the panelists would like to answer this?
I think female have lot of roles to do in their life, as a daughter, as a parent, as a mother. She have lot of roles to do. So she cannot manage their personal and professional life in strong manner. But fortunately, we have some leaders who are managing a very good personal life and professional life, and they are corporate leaders in. Let's take for example Indra Nooyi. She's a very good corporate leader, but as a barrier, I think the too much of stress and uh, work assigned to her is plays a major role, which makes the leadership to down. I think the most roles are the played by female, maybe the barrier to them to make their work life to make better. But absolutely, our females are making their personal life and professional life very good way. Nowadays, there are a lot of female leadership was arising, and lot of female leaders were doing the very best. But in my opinion, the barrier, I think the family responsibilities and the lot of roles may be the barrier for the female, but every female are managing in very good way.
Yes, thank you, Miss Aishwarya. Yeah, and this also really heavily depends on the society where you're from. Some women have, larger roles in a different society. They bear bigger responsibilities in terms of maybe family relationships, and their expectations are higher in different, society, which I agree. Thank you, Miss Aishwarya. Would we want to hear from other, maybe Miss Gita?
Yeah. So I think like family cannot be a barrier for leadership. I think family gives us a support, and then so as a leader, whatever we learn and apply in society, in corporate, in wherever we go outside from family, all the skills we have from the family. So we can't say that there's a family is a barrier. Even we can say that we can have more work as a female leader, as a responsibility of a family and responsibility of the work. We can say the responsibility, but I think I can't say that family can be a barrier. And then another thing is like there's nothing called a barrier for female leader. I think just in the stereotypes we have already talked about, it's just in the stereotypes. There's nothing which says like, oh, there is a barrier for a female leader. Maybe in terms of responsibility, in terms of work, has more than the male. Maybe it depends on, again, like as Neja mentioned, society and something, but there's no barrier, I would say.
Yes, yes, that's a good point. We may have more responsibilities, but it's not necessarily a barrier. We
Barrier,
have
yep.
plenty of opportunities. We are
Yep.
given, just the same equality as a man, I think, in terms of leadership.
Yep.
Yeah, that's important also to acknowledge. Thank you, Ms. Kita. All right, that's a really good question. Thank you. What about the next question. Do we have more questions? Okay, our next question is from O Mirai. How does emotional intelligence help us to succeed? Hmm, that's a very broad question. Thank you so much, Omirai. Would any of the panelists would like to answer this question?
Okay, so maybe the questions is asked by a student, I would assume. So I can just give you a simple example how emotional intelligence helps you in a success. So we are talking about this irritation, frustration, anger are result of low emotional intelligence, right? And then imagine you are studying and you come up and then you have just discussion with one of your friend and then you just get angry, and then when you are angry your brain is not working, and if your brain is not working you don't know how long it will not work. Then you wasted your 2 3 hours you would have used them if you are emotionally intelligent and accept them, use them to study and then achieve good marks. So this is how like small thing can help us to succeed.
Yes, true.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Miss Kita. It's important that you use your time not to be angry, but how you study
Yeah,
your
this is
problems
a small
and
yeah, this is a small example that most of the time we just most of the time when we say we are not emotionally intelligent, we waste your time, we waste your energy, I would say, and then we waste our efforts doing nothing, just thinking about things.
yes, and
Yeah.
we cannot stop pondering about the problem instead of actively
Hmm.
seeking solutions to the problem. That's
Yeah.
true. What about Ms. Huang? How does emotional intelligence help us succeed? Do you have an opinion for this?
I think it helps me understand everyone's understand feeling and thoughts everyone's uh, and then this I I so that I share everyone's uh, everyone's I share everyone to find solution satisfactory. Satisfactory for everyone in the team, and it helps me find solution, find being safe, satisfactory solution in my in the for everyone in the teams.
Yes, I think one way to know that it's a good decision is that everyone is satisfactory, everyone is satisfied with the solution. It helps all parties, not just one party. That is how you know that you've succeeded. That you know it helps. It's a good solution to not just one party. Thank you so much, Miss Feng. Okay, I think those are all the questions we have from our audience. We're almost to the end of our forum, our discussion today, and it has been very fruitful. However, before I end this, I would like to ask for each of our panelists to give, the final say for you to conclude what you think about emotional intelligence in leadership and just basically like a final say. Now, can I first call upon Ms. Ashwarya to give your final speech, your final say?
Okay. um, as a leaders in emotional intelligence, not only leaders, every human requires emotional intelligence. When we are emotionally intelligent, we can avoid disputes and conflicts. When we avoid these two things, we can achieve the harmonious uh, objective of goal we can achieve. And when we achieve these things, our automatically our stress level will reduce. When the stress level is reduced, we feel free, we'll be very happy and what we are. To develop emotional intelligence, first we need to manage our negative emotions, because negative emotions is not a useful thing in our life to develop our positivity and emotional intelligence. Be mindful on your vocabulary. We need to be very strong in our vocabulary, that what we are thinking. Automatically as a human, what we think is going to what we practice, right? So we need to be very mindful in our vocabulary. Practice empathy as a human and yeah, leadership. We need to practice empathy, because empathy makes us to stand on other shoes and make us to feel what they go through in their life and what we are thinking around us. So we need to be very empathy and know your stresses in our life. In our day-to-day life, we have lot of stress works. We need to identify the stresses and we need to make it eliminate the stresses. Automatically we can be very happy and emotionally intelligent. Bounce back from your adversity. uh, as a human, we all have adversity with some unpleasant things that will happen in our life. We need to bounce back it with very strong spirit. We can pick any three skills for strategies like self-awareness, motivation, relationship management, and we need to work on them. uh, when we keep on working in these skills, we can develop our emotional intelligence in very easy manner. And we can also choose EI mentor. As an individual, someone will may feel some struggles to develop their emotional intelligence. So we can also choose EI mentor to develop our emotional intelligence. And expect the success, not the perfection. Of course, we are humans. We cannot make everything perfect and precise. So we need to make a goal on a success, not to make a precise result. We should not expect from result. And practice is the only key note that makes a man perfect, because we have English saying that practice, which makes a man perfect. So emotional intelligence can also achieve by doing practice and measure your progress at last. After doing all these steps, we can measure our progress. For sure it will going to improve our emotional intelligence. So when we are emotionally intelligent, our place around us will be very harmonious and happy, and also we can avoid the conflicts. Um when we avoid the conflicts, of course we going to be very happy and emotionally intelligent. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Ashwarya. That's a lot of things covered in a short period of time. Miss Ashwarya talked about vocabulary, knowing exactly, how to express your emotions. You don't want to be saying the wrong thing that could, result in another problem that you don't want. And also know your stresses, which I think is important. Thank you so much, Miss Ashwarya. It's been a pleasure having you. Next, let's hear our last speech from Miss Gita Mahala. Any last words would you like to give to the audience?
Yeah. So first of all, thank you so much for listening. The conversation was really interesting. And then I think students have enough information. We have discussed almost 2 hours about emotional intelligence. And my key message to the student is to just go and implement it. Thank you.
Yes, short and sweet. Go and implement it. Take that
Yep.
opportunity. Start today if you have
Yep.
the opportunity. Yeah, I love
Yep.
that. Thank you so much,
Yep.
Ms. Kita Mahala. It's been a pleasure having you and listening to you
Sure.
talk about your insights on emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
Lastly, can we have Ms. Fung? Can you tell us how you feel about um, this forum, and any last words would you like to give to the audience?
You are muted.
Sorry, Miss Fung, you're muted. Yes.
I'm I'm happy to participate in this conference. In the conference, The conference share about the leadership, share about emotional intelligence in leader to understand and know more about it, or I understand more. I learn more the ways I learn more the ways improve inter, emotional intelligence during the pandemic and defines in this in this conference. I realized that emotional intelligence is such a powerful and important tool for leadership. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Wang. We also, I think, I believe everyone here learned so much, not just from the panelists, but also from the audience, the questions that they give that opens up to further discussions about, emotional intelligence. So it's been such a pleasure having you. Thank you so much, Miss Wang. All right, everyone, we don't have much time left, so that means that we have come to the end of our session today. It has been such a fruitful discussion, and I hope that you learn as much as I managed to learn from our esteemed panelists. On behalf of the organizer, I would like to extend my appreciation to the panelists as well as to the audience for staying with us for 2 days of this conference, and for you guys, for panelists to share your information, your opinions, your own research today. I've learned a lot. We truly appreciate it. Now, I will pass back the floor to our MC. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you to the moderator and the three panelists for the great sharing session. I hope with all the knowledge gained today, you will get to know about the science of stress reduction and live a harmonious life. Attention to all audiences, you are required to fill out the Google form, send in Telegram and YouTube chat box to obtain a certificate of appreciation. Now, let's welcome our Director of International Student Representative Conference Post-COVID-19 Leadership Strategies, Ahmad Faris Iman bin Alias, to give acknowledgements and appreciation speech as a closing remark before we end our program.
Tes, tes. Assalamualaikum. Dah. Dah dengar? Janganlah nak tes suara. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and good afternoon. The Honorable Professor Technologist Dr. Mazidah Putih, Rector of UiTM Terengganu Branch and Deputy Rector of Student Affairs Division of UiTM Terengganu Branch, Technologist Dr. Ermi Abdul Kadir, my fellow friends from Malaysia, Indonesia, Thailand, Brunei, Vietnam, Japan, Australia, and India, as well as lecturers, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to extend my gratitude to everyone for being here today. I am Ahmad Faris Iman bin Alias, the director of SIRC 2022. Ladies and gentlemen, back in November 2021, when I was appointed as an EXCO of Alumni Communication and International Affairs in the Student Representative Council of UiTM Terengganu Branch, a mouthful position where I did not have any ideas or skills of being a leader and how to strategize it. With help from our advisor, Mr. Abdurazak, we decided to come up with this great idea to organize an international conference focusing on student leaders and leadership strategies. The basic idea was to provide a platform where young leaders can discuss and share their ideas and opinion related to appropriate ways and steps as a leaders in leading students in the post-pandemic era of COVID-19. And we are here today to celebrate this accomplishment together towards the end of this event. The International Student Representative Conference is the very first international event organized by Student Representative Council of UiTM Terengganu Branch Session 2021 and 2022, and also my first ever event as the director. On behalf of the committee members, I hope everyone has benefited from the conference, and I would humbly apologize for any inconvenience. Thank you so much for being such a wonderful and enthusiastic participant throughout this event and keeping the entire duration interactive. To all the panels, thank you very much, and we are grateful for the time and effort you took to share your thoughts and experiences with us. To our moderator, thank you for your excellent job in moderating all the sessions. All of you were extremely professional in the way you kept all of us at our height of attention for almost 2 hours in every sessions. Thank you so much. To our excellent committee members and collaboration partners from UiTM Global Ambassadors, Student Union of University Kebangsaan Malaysia, Student Representative Council of UiTM Shah Alam, and University Putra Malaysia, this project could not have been rewarding without this great engagement and networking. Thank you so much. To our patron, chairman, and deputy chairman of this conference, thank you so much for your guidance and unconditional support during this event. To the Office of International Affairs of UiTM Terengganu Branch, Madam Najah Lokman, and all the lecturers from Indonesia, Thailand, Brunei, Vietnam, Japan, Australia, and India. Thank you for helping us to recruit all these great panelists. I really hope this conference has achieved its goal and given a massive impact to the young leaders, societies, and many others that has been inspired by all the speech and discussion from our great panelists from many parts of the world, and also able to empower them to be a great leaders in the future. As we cross the roads to end this event, I really hope this moment will not end here. Let's continue our networking and create more collaboration and aspiration in the future. See you again in the International Student Representative Conference 2023. Thank you.
Thank you, Iman. With the end of the session, our program is now over. I hope what was presented throughout the program can have a significant impact on all of you. Therefore, my job as an MC for this program is over. We apologize for any inconveniences caused during this program. Thank you.